Alright guys, as I was watching this movie and when it finished, I said to myself, it feels like I'm watching non-stop destruction porn. I know that doesn't exist, guys, but Michael Bay successfully managed to create a new category of porn known as destruction porn. Congratulations, sir. Anyway, hey there guys, what is up? It is Autobot Mike 18 here with another one of my old movie reviews. Guys, I'm doing these old movie reviews all summer long, and especially this past week, I've been doing old movie reviews for the original Transformers trilogy. I already reviewed the first two movies, and now I'm going to review the third and final film in the original Transformers trilogy, and that movie is Transformers Dark of the Moon. That's right, guys. Transformers Dark of the Moon was released in 2011, and it was yet again directed by Michael Bay. It was the direct sequel to Revenge of the Fallen and the first movie, and it stars most of the same cast from the first movie, from the first two movies as well, minus a few actors that were bumped out of the third movie. We have Shia LaBeouf coming back, Tyrese Gibson, Josh Duhamel, John Turturro, and replacing Megan Fox is Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. Now, Transformers Dark of the Moon, guys, a lot of people were looking forward to it, mainly because a lot of people were really upset with Revenge of the Fallen. They were hoping that Dark of the Moon would sort of be the redemption film. And I can say that after watching both movies, Dark of the Moon, without a doubt, is the redemption movie. This movie is very special to me as well, for one very specific reason. I'll tell you guys a quick story. I saw Dark of the Moon on July 4th with my brother and my dad, and it blew me away so much. I literally went back to the theaters the next day on July 5th to rewatch the movie again in 3D. So I saw it back to back. But that second time I went to go see this movie, I went all alone. This was the first time I ever went to a movie theater by myself. Okay, back in 2011 when I saw Dark of the Moon. It was the first movie I ever watched all by myself in the movie theaters, and it was pretty special to me for that reason. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to point that out. This movie does have a special place in my heart, and this movie is one movie that started to prompt me to make YouTube videos, essentially, so I gotta have that credit for this movie. Regardless of that, I still really enjoy this movie. It's arguably one of my favorites of the trilogy. I might like it as much as I did the first, or more. So, with that being said, guys, let's get into the actual review. The first thing I'm going to start talking about is the premise of Transformers Dark of the Moon. Transformers 3 is set exactly, well, roughly 3 years after the events of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. As we all know, the Decepticons were heavily defeated in Revenge of the Fallen. Most of them were retreated, including Megatron, after sustaining several injuries. And of course, they are still out there, and they are still plotting their to get revenge against the Autobots and against humans. And they have a pretty big plan in mind to finally take control of the Earth. And it involves working with several humans and successfully killing them afterwards, as well as using the ex-Autobot leader Sentinel Prime's technology, this alien technology known as the Pillars. They want to use Sentinel Prime and his technology known as the Pillars to somehow take over the Earth. I could get into more detail about the Pillars and everything, but I don't want to spoil anything. And so that is their plan. The Autobots catch wind of this, and they know that they want to, they know that they're after Sentinel Prime, and they have to figure out what exactly it is they want to do with these Pillars, and they have to stop them, of course. Meanwhile, you have recent college graduate Sam Witwicky, 3 months out of college, played by Shia LaBeouf. He is out there struggling to find a job. He has a new girlfriend played by Carly, played by Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, still struggling to find a job. And the problem with Sam in this movie is he really isn't involved with the Transformers, and he wants to sort of be working with them and working with the government because of his involvement in the past two movies. However, he's not allowed to work with the government, with the Transformers, so therefore he has to struggle to find a job. But his problem in this movie is that he wants to matter. He wants to actually do something of merit or do something of importance, make his life or himself important in some way. So that is Sam's problem in this movie. And of course, he's going to get involved in the whole story this time around as well as he did in the last two movies. Anyway, guys, moving on. Here's the thing about that I really liked about Transformers Dark of the Moon. In comparing it to Revenge of the Fallen, and it mainly involves the fact that the writing was so much better this time around than it was in Revenge of the Fallen. I'm not even kidding you guys. I was really impressed with the writing this movie. It was a big step up from Revenge of the Fallen. And I really liked the writing this time around because they did so many things different from the first two movies. They went down a sort of a different direction, essentially. They introduced a lot of new plot points. They did things differently. They connected the 1968 space race, where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. They connected that with an event that was happening in this movie involving an Autobot ship known as the Ark, and the whole thing with Sentinel Prime and the pillars and everything. They connected that with the space race, and I really liked how they connected the events in this movie with an actual real-life event. I thought that was pretty interesting. They kind of went all Forrest Gump, but I really like how they did that. And they introduced two newish sort of plot points, and they involved the fact that humans were working with the Decepticons, and I really liked that plot point as well, because all this time we thought that Sam Witwicky was the first human being to meet a live Transformer, and that was Bumblebee, and the rest of the Autobots. But it wasn't Sam. It turns out that there have been humans over the years that have met live Transformers because they're working with the Decepticons. So I really liked that plot point as well. And the fact that Sam in this movie, he's trying to do something of merit, and he's trying to be important and feel important in his life. He wants to have an important life even though he's not doing anything of merit, and he's struggling to find a job, and he wants to still be out there with the Autobots to save the world, you know, like he did in the past. And I really like how they touched upon that in this film, because his role with the Transformers, he's really has nothing left to do. He's not a key role in the plot of this movie anymore, really. He's just really working with the Autobots this time around, but he wants to matter and be of importance. So I really liked that. Everything with the plot, and just the plot was just darker, deeper, and more intense than the plot of the first two movies. Honestly, they went darker. They did things differently. The tone was a lot darker and deeper, and there were a lot of plot twists, and there were two big plot twists in the middle, and things were even emotional at parts of the movie. They went for more of a depressing tone as well, and I really liked that about Dark of the Moon. Big fan of all that. Anyway, guys, moving on into the cast. We have a lot of new faces this time for Transformers Dark of the Moon. We have a lot of returning faces as well. Returning faces include Shia LaBeouf, Tyrese Gibson, Josh Duhamel, John Turturro, and Sam's parents, Kevin Dunn and Julie White. They're all back from the first two movies. And what can I say? Like I said, guys, with my first two Transformer reviews, Shia LaBeouf always impresses me in the Transformer movies. He did a great job in Dark of the Moon as well. He carries these movies, in my opinion. He always impressed me with his wit, his charisma that he always brings to these movies, and I always love Shia LaBeouf. One thing I liked about this movie as well, it was cool to see Tyrese Gibson and Josh Duhamel in more important role than in Revenge of the Fallen. I felt Revenge of the Fallen didn't treat them that well, didn't give them a big role of importance. But in this movie, it's cool to see Tyrese Gibson working with Shia LaBeouf in a scene to climb up a building and do something in order to help the Autobots. I don't want to spoil anything, as well as Shia LaBeouf working with Josh Duhamel to take down the Decepticon in this movie. It's scenes like that I liked how Sam is working with Epps and Lennox. I really like that, so that was good as well. John Turturro, you can argue, didn't need to be in the movie at all. He really kind of didn't. But I still enjoy John Turturro in these movies, and I thought he was good in this. Apart from one scene, he didn't need to be in this movie. He furthered one thing in the plot, and he was sort of helping Sam to figure things out a little bit. So for that sense, you kind of didn't even need him, essentially. But I still like John Turturro. And then I'm so glad that they cut down on the scenes. They showed us less of the parents, and they didn't give us more of that wacky humor that we saw in the first movie. They could have ruined the movie if they gave the parents more screen time. They did more wacky things. I'm glad they cut down on that. They cut down on the humor a lot in this one. I was really impressed about that. Anyway, as for the new additions, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley is replacing Megan Fox as the lead role. Now, I know Megan Fox is one of the most hottest things on this planet, without a doubt. And Rosie Huntington-Whiteley is attractive very much so, several times in this movie. There's a few of those classic Michael Bay ass shots that, yeah, those are impressive. But you know, I don't think you could pass Megan Fox. However, in terms of character and acting, she did better than Megan Fox. She did better than Megan Fox did in Revenge of the Fallen, I think. Rosie Huntington-Whiteley really impressed me. She was a great love interest for Sam. I liked their relationship. I bought their chemistry. She worked in this movie for me. So what can I say? Maybe she wasn't as important as Michaela was in the first two films, but I still liked her. As for a few other new characters or new actors, we have Patrick Dempsey playing Carly's boss, who has a very important role in the movie that I don't want to spoil, and I really liked that about his character. We have Frances McDormand playing like the head of intelligence. She did pretty good, even though her character got annoying, but that is what her character is supposed to do. We have John Malkovich playing Sam's first boss, who honestly didn't need to be in the movie at all. They had him do one crucial thing in the story that honestly could have been completely rewritten and didn't even need to be there, but it was still, you gotta laugh in with him here or there. Ken Jeong playing one of Sam's employees who is being coerced by the Decepticons, who I thought a lot of people didn't like him in this movie. I thought he was good in his scenes. The bathroom scene was pretty funny in my opinion. Ken Jeong is a fine actor, and I thought he was good. You know what, I'm going to flip to the Shockwave side of the Blu-ray this time, just so you guys could see Shockwave's face. Anyway, guys, yeah, so Ken Jeong was fine. And then we have John Turturro's, his character has an assistant in this movie, Dutch, played by Alan Tudyk. I don't know how to say his last name, I apologize, guys, but I really liked that character as well. I thought that was nice. So the new additions were fine in my opinion. They gave good performances. At least they were committed to the movie, so I got to praise them for that. Now, guys, getting into my rating of Transformers Dark of the Moon, you know, what can I say? I really liked this movie. It impressed me. Revenge of the Fallen did a few things wrong in my opinion and took us out of the feel of the series, and they messed up a few things. I'm not going to lie. And I think Dark of the Moon's purpose was to put the series back on the right path, and that's exactly what it did. It fixed the wrong things that Revenge of the Fallen did. It improved on the action, improved a bit on the story from the first movie, and it really did. It gave us less humor than Revenge of the Fallen, more Autobot screen time, more battle sequences and all that, destruction, and that is why I really like Dark of the Moon. You know, rewatching this movie on Blu-ray last night, which is when I rewatched it, I thought I was honestly not going to like this movie rewatching it and giving you guys my review for it. I thought I was going to end up giving it a lower score. Because when I first watched this movie, I gave it an 11 out of 10 because I was so blown away by it. But that was when I was younger, and I didn't know that I shouldn't go over a 10. I guess no one should ever do that. But in the end, guys, I still liked Dark of the Moon. Even as I was watching it, reminded me of when I was watching it when I was watching in the theaters. You know, it kind of gave me that feeling, and that's what I really liked. Same thing when I watched the first Transformers. So in the end, I'm going 9.5 out of 10 for Transformers Dark of the Moon. That's a pretty high score. It's a notch under the first movie, but honestly, in terms of which one I like more, they're right near each other, really. Dark of the Moon I might like a little bit more because it has a lot more action, even though the first Transformers maybe has a bit of a better story. Anyway, getting into the things that I liked about the movie, guys, my pros and cons. I have really three minor flaws with the movie, but getting to the things I liked. Like I said, already I talked so much about the story, and that is ultimately one of my favorite parts about the movie. Like I said, it took a much darker, deeper, and depressing tone than the rest of the movies, and I really liked that about the movie. The movie took itself a lot more seriously. It still has humor in there, but it's not as bad as some of the humor in Revenge of the Fallen. I actually ended up laughing a few times in this. They toned it down a little bit, which I was happy about. Like I said, I love the connection with the space race. I love the fact that humans were working with Decepticons, and Sam was trying to matter and trying to do something of merit in this movie, and I really liked all that about the plot. I liked, yeah, there were a few funny scenes, and the action sequences were crazy, and I was just really invested in the plot this time. Really engaging, in my opinion. Michael Bay, bash him all you want, guys, but he does such a great job with these movies, directing these movies. In my opinion, one of the best action sci-fi directors in regards to how he directs action and all that. He does a phenomenal job, in my opinion. He really just blows me away with all of his movies. They're mesmerizing, they're breathtaking to look at, they really are. The cast all felt dedicated, and they all did a good job in their roles that they had. Also, moving on, The score this time around by Steve Jablonsky, oh man, did it fit this movie so well, you know, in the depressing, dark scenes that there are in this movie. The score fits beautifully, and I have several of the songs from the score on my iPod. I love it. Steve Jablonsky did an amazing job with the score this time around, leading into me talking about the soundtrack. My goodness, the soundtrack in this movie was excellent. The Goo Goo Dolls, you had the Goo Goo Dolls, you had Paramore, and then you had Linkin Park's song Iridescent, which fits so well with the depressing tone of the movie in a few scenes. There's a few emotional things that happen in the movie, in my opinion. Iridescent fits so well in those scenes. The whole fact that everything going on in the final scene in the Chicago battle is destruction and devastation. The song Iridescent fits beautifully, and that song Iridescent is one of my favorite songs of all time, actually. So I really like that. The action scenes were bigger and better than Revenge of the Fallen and the first movie. The building sequence, the whole sequence in Chicago, it was action scene after action scene after action scene, destruction after destruction after destruction, explosion after explosion after explosion. It's a non-stop, in-your-face action with incredible visual effects, guys, that are still as mind-blowing and as memorable as the visual effects of the first movie, in my opinion, you know, and the second movie. The visuals just keep getting better and better. They are incredible to look at in this movie. Again, another mesmerizing, breathtaking movie to look at in regards to visual effects on the Transformers and everything, and the destruction. And also, I really liked the sound editing and mixing, as always. Getting into my flaws, just briefly, 3 minor flaws. I feel 2 characters were very criminally underused, and those 2 characters are Shockwave and Megatron. I honestly wanted to see them involved more in the battle, and I was really let down about that. And my other minor flaw that I have with the movie is that a lot of the action sequences in Chicago feel a little rushed. You know, you're sitting there, you're trying to watch them, and you're like, wow, this is just so awesome, so much freaking action, I can't take this. Like, it's literally going by so fast. You're like, action scene, I can't, you know, it's hard to appreciate each individual action scene because they're going by so fast. Nevertheless, guys, I absolutely love Transformers Dark of the Moon. What can I say? If you didn't like it, that's fine. I enjoyed the movie. Great, worthy sequel in my opinion. Dark of the Moon gets a 9.5 out of 10 for me. And there you have it, guys. That's all I have to say about Transformers Dark of the Moon. That concludes my old movie reviews for the Transformers trilogy. So, guys, let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on Transformers Dark of the Moon, and what are your thoughts on the original Transformers trilogy? Let me know down below, and stay tuned for my Transformers 4 Age of Extinction movie review. Coming soon, guys. I can't wait to go see the movie. Anyway, guys, thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye.